Well, this next one is from Jay, and the subject line is Forestry Intern Brushed with True Crime. Hi, ladies. First off, I want to start with the obligatory, you guys are the best. I listen to you all the time while I work, and it makes my day go by so much faster. Thank you both for being so kind and conscious to victims of your stories and their families. I was listening to Freaky Friday, episode 104, and knew I had to send in my work-related brushes with true crime. Now, one of the stories is not super true crime, but I thought my life was ending, so I thought it may be fun to include it. During the summer of 2021, I was working as a forestry intern in Northern California. When I say Northern California, I mean the real Northern California, where the people and mountain lions roam free. My story begins on a Monday. As a forestry intern, I was responsible for the very mundane task of tracking and marking burn piles from previous harvests. Since the property spans throughout Northern California, I made a plan the day before to mark the burn piles on a piece of property I had not visited before on my own. As I was looking at a map of the property, it did not appear to connect to a main county road. So I identified another road to access the property from. As I turned onto this road, I started driving past a very run-down home with a black tarp covering a chain-linked fence. The fence ran along the entirety of the property. If you've never been in the middle of nowhere, California, this is a surefire way to tell where there is an illegal pot grow. I was getting nervous at this point, but knew that once I was past the access gate and on the property, I would be presumably safer. When I finally pulled up to the gate, I realized the gate was not ours, nor was it one that I recognized. We normally have very large steel gates with 1 or 2 locks on it for us to use for access. However, this gate was just about the width of my truck and looked like a military gate with a lot of locks, none of which I identified to be ours. What the fuck? I rolled down the window of my pickup truck to get a better look at the locks on the gate when I heard a weird metallic banging sound coming from my left. I looked over to see what the sound was coming from when I saw a man at the top of the driveway connected to the pot grower's property. He had not been there as I drove up to the gate initially. As I focused my mind on what made that noise, I saw said man holding a rifle in his hand and watched him repeatedly bang the rifle against his truck while he stared at me. Recognizing this as a warning sign and knowing that I did not want to be shot, I quickly rolled my window up and turned around to drive away from his property, shaking. I looked in my rearview mirror to look at the gate one last time when I saw the man again. He was closely following me in his truck with his rifle in his hand next to him. I clutched the steering wheel for dear life and continued driving away from the property. Once I got past his property and turned onto another road, he stopped following me. Being the work-till-you-drop intern that I wanted to be, I continued on with my day. It was only about 8 a.m. at this point. On Tuesday, I started my day early, going back to the property I had tried to reach the day before. Turns out the map was incorrect, and the property did connect to a county road. As I was driving, the dirt road I was on turned very rocky. I looked to my left where I saw that I was driving along a very steep, very sharp cliff. Well, not exactly a cliff, but enough of a steep terrain that cable logging was used for the harvest. Did you ever watch Axemen? As I was driving along the road, trying to carefully avoid the large rocks, I heard a huge thud and preceding crashing sounds. Since I was in the process of driving down a hill, I couldn't stop until I reached the bottom. Once I reached the bottom, I ran out of the truck to inspect what had caused all of the noise. Thinking I had run over one of the large rocks I was trying to avoid, I looked under the truck to discover a cable logging wire was wrapped around the rear axle, fraying itself in the process. I quickly grabbed my phone to call someone from work and realized I didn't have any signal. Not only did I have a broken vehicle, I also had no way of contacting anyone to ask for help, and I was in the middle of bear and mountain lion country. My only option was to start walking until I got reception. Mind you, that as I was walking to find cell phone reception, my only defense was a can of wasp spray that I repeatedly hit on the large rocks I was so careful to avoid. I wanted to make as much noise as possible. Was I actually in danger of dying from a bear and/or mountain lion attack? Probably not. But my 22-year-old brain was already in survival mode. I'm only 5'4". I'm prey out in the woods. Thankfully, it wasn't too far until I got one measly bar. I frantically called everyone I worked with, only to find out that the closest person to me was 2 hours away. I told him that I would check in every 30 minutes until he arrived. So, for the next 2 hours, I hunkered down under the truck, attempting to manually remove the logging cable wire from the axle, which I did after an hour and a half. At that point, my coworker was close by with a tow truck on the ready, but the truck was seemingly fine. Even the brake line was just bent, not even broken. Again, like the day before, I kept my head down and kept on working. I was a broke college kid. On Wednesday, I was driving back to the same property as the 2 days before. I think it's cursed. As I was driving to the gate, I passed a small, white Ford Ranger parked off the road. I slowed down to observe my surroundings, to make sure nothing seemed off, and to try to spot the driver of the truck, to no avail. Again, I knew once I was past the gate, I would be presumably safer, so I continued on towards the gate. However, I saw another truck. This time, a small red Chevy. I didn't know who either of the trucks belonged to, and just as I was checking my phone to call someone from work, the small white truck pulled up beside me. They rolled their window down, and much to my relief, I saw a woman driving it. Sorry, men, you're scary in the woods. Once I had my window down all the way, the woman driving the truck began to hurl questions at me about who I was, who I worked for, and if I knew about the streams. Turns out there was a small creek on our property that ran downhill to a ranch. Once she believed me that I was just an intern for the forestry company, she told me that illegal pot growers were stealing water from the creek and that she owned the ranch downhill, which relied on that water. She then asked me if I knew who drove the red truck, to which I answered, "No, do you?" She said she did. She told me this man was well known in the area. He was an ex-convict who enjoyed illegally trespassing on property. He was notorious for apparently waking up with a mountain lion sleeping on top of him. He also traveled armed and with a dog. Again, with the guns. What the fuck? This poor woman was very worried about me and my safety, knowing I needed to be on the property to finish my job. So she decided to sleuth around his truck to see if he was just sleeping in it. Guess what? He was not. She looked at me and said, "He's not in his truck. He's on your property." She also decided that it was the right moment to inform me that he was a known arsonist who liked to cook food and keep his fires unattended. Did I mention Northern California in 2021 was in the middle of a very severe drought with raging wildfires all around? Again, what the fuck? What was I to do? I needed to complete the job and I needed to earn my keep. So I let someone in our company know that this known arsonist was on our property and continued on with my day, hoping I wouldn't come face to face with him. Thanks for reading, even if it doesn't make it on the podcast. I can't wait to see you guys on the tour.
I want to say, Jay, that we're right now going to create an award for the most dedicated intern that's ever existed and
Jay, folks.
present it to you because I would have been out the second
Day one.
somebody was banging a rifle against a truck. I'm out.
Right.
I'm done. That's it for me.
Right.
But
when we
you
watched
went
that
back-
Murder Mountain, those people don't fucking care.
no,
They'll just
no.
wave their gun at you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The whole time I was reading this, I was thinking about Murder Mountain, which is a docuseries on Netflix. And you are not wrong, Jay, when you say if you've never been to real Northern California, the people and the mountain lions roam free. And it is the wild, wild west in those certain parts where there are a ton of illegal pot grows and a lot of people that just want to escape from kind of the societal norms and go off the grid. And so they go up there and it's very sad because so many young people that they talk about in the docuseries go up there because you can make a lot of money working
cash.
at one of these pot farms for a few months. But even though we all think, oh, it's just weed, when you've got a $100,000, $1 million farm that's producing that much money, it's not just weed. There are lots of guns. There are lots of unsavory people working there. And
just running around on four-wheelers with a
yeah,
shotgun out and bandanas on their face.
It's nothing to be taken lightly. And to be having to drive around there as a young,
yourself.
tiny girl, that is next level.
Like you said, the most dedicated intern award goes to Jay, because I probably would have taken the day. Like the first one of like, I just got chased by a rifle, but maybe I'm not cut out to be a forestry professional. I always thought if the shit hit the fan and I couldn't practice law anymore and something happened to the podcast, maybe I go be a park ranger somewhere. But I don't know if I can hack it, man. I don't know if I can make it.
Damn. By 8 a.m., you're like, most people aren't even up by now, and you've already had
the night ranger
not get killed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's so early to be banging your rifle on the hood of your truck.
Well,
it's never too early.
It's no rest for the wicked out there
Good
up in the mountains there. And people, very scary. Mountain lions and bears, also very scary. So I don't want to get trapped where I might have to encounter one of those things.
You take a can of wasp spray with you and you can take on the world. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, if you have any other wild forestry stories, we're all ears, because especially that part of California, that has a reputation for a reason. Beautiful place, but
gorgeous. Yes.
No one would have known now. I'd be trepidatious traveling through there alone.
It is. It's remote, and it is like they say in that docuseries, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen it. But even the law enforcement out there, which is few and far between, which they talk about, it's like everybody out here, they make their own rules, and we all just kind of live by it. It's just the law of the land, and when you go out there and choose that life, that's kind of what you know you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, those sheriff's deputies are like, we're literally just outnumbered.
Yeah.
I did feel bad. I ran into a lady in Marfa and I go, oh, where are you from originally? And she was like, Humboldt County. And I was like, Murder Mountain. And she was like, yeah, Murder Mountain. And I was like, I'm
sure
so sorry.
She loves when she tells people and the first thing they say is, oh, Murder Mountain. Yeah.
I know that place from the TV show. Well, it's my home. So that's rude. Gorgeous, no, anyway, well, thank you. Yes.
Can be dangerous.
Yeah, they're just like me. Well, thank you very much.